It's unbelievable. I think you're going into your 6th year as a Met.
Yep.
And you are now on manager 4.
Yeah.
How does that work for a pitcher who has to gain the confidence of a new manager every single time the regimes change?
I try not to think about it too much. I know I've been here 6 years, and it's a lot of turnover, 4 managers, a couple GMs, new ownership, things like that. But I know if I just come in and do what I'm supposed to do and be myself, I should get along with anybody. And Mendoza's great. He's been awesome so far, and I'm looking forward to working with him this year.
Last season in this locker room, there was a lot of talk about family, and the Cones and the way they treat their players. What's the message this year in camp?
It's the same thing. We're talking about relationships, building relationships, connecting with each other. There's no, even the young guys in here that, maybe haven't been up yet. We really have been harping on just being there for them and helping them out with anything they need and making them feel comfortable. So it's the same message: relationships, family, and just building a good culture here.
It's an influx of new arms for the pen and for the starting staff. What have you noticed in the side sessions among some of the other guys, and what you've seen? What are pitchers that you think Met fans should be watching that they don't know?
Yeah, I really like our staff. I do. I think we're underrated right now. I love our bullpen. I love the additions we've made. Some guys that I want to keep an eye on are Hauser, one of the new starters. He looked really good yesterday. And my good buddy Tyler McGill, I'm excited for him and seeing if he can grab that last spot and do well this year. But we got a lot of new arms, a lot of guys that are going to contribute and compete this year, and I'm excited for everybody that's going to play a big part for us.
Max Kranick mentioned that after his start, he just developed and been working on a two-seamer, and he threw it in the game for the first time.
Yeah.
And he said the key to any new pitch is conviction.
Yeah.
How do you do that in spring training? A new pitch, a new organization.
Yeah.
How can you do that with conviction?
Yeah, that's impressive. I've actually been working on a little two-seam sinker as well, and I have not had the conviction to throw it. And I haven't pitched in a game yet, but I haven't had the conviction to throw it live yet. I just don't feel comfortable with it. So the fact that you can go out there and rip it in the game right away is impressive. And it's hard to do. It's hard to feel comfortable with a new pitch like that, and even in a new org and things like that. It's an impressive feat for sure.
And Hauser mentioned that he actually worked with Jeremy Hefner back in 2011.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about each year, the amount of technology available to pitchers, what's that been like for you, the evolution, and what are some of the things that you use to help your pitches?
Since I came up in 2018, it's been a steady just increase of technology available, and we didn't really have much when I first came up. It was just kind of becoming a thing. And what I try to look at now, there's so much information you can get from it. There really is. It's an overload. If you don't know what you're looking for, it can kind of overwhelm you. So I just try to focus on what I know I do well, which is my four-seam fastball has good ride, induced vertical breaks, so I pay attention to those numbers. And I want my slider to be a little more down than sweep to play off my fastball. So those are the main things I look at. I look at release height and things like that because I have a lower release height that helps my fastball. I know if I'm getting out of whack, if I'm a little higher or a little lower. So just trying to know where I do well and look at those numbers after each outing and make sure I'm kind of checking those off. And then if I'm not, kind of go back to the drawing board with Hef and try to figure out where I went wrong.
So you kind of look at it, but then you go back to the drawing board with Hef. What's his role in maybe bringing something to your attention through the technology that you might not see?
Yeah, so after one of my last lives, he was looking at my slider, and I could see it while I was pitching. It looked a little bigger, not as tight as I wanted, but after he was just like, yeah, your shape was a little bigger, the velo was still there, but we got to start thinking in your head a little more cutter. I'm throwing a slider, but just think cutter makes you be a little shorter, maybe not get around the ball as much, And then the next live I went to, it was shorter, the shape was where I wanted, and I was just having to, in my head, think cutter, which is kind of a weird process because I'm throwing a slider, but that's just kind of where your brain's at. You gotta make an adjustment, and that's the adjustment that works for me.